Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss show, and welcome to my very last recorded episode in my 20s. Yeah, man, I'm turning the big 3-0. When you say it out loud, it don't sound like that big of a number, but no, it is a milestone in your, age and stuff, like aging and all that. I don't know why, for some reason, like lately I have not been able to. And you know what's so crazy, all throughout my 20s I have dealt with this one problem where I will be trying to record a podcast episode, a video. And you know what's so wild is that when I do live streams, I never have an issue doing live streams. Now, I'm not trying to jinx myself, but at the same time, I never have an issue with doing live streams. Maybe it's just the environment of being live. Like, I know what to say. I know not to do anything crazy. I'm mainly going to be focused on the video game anyways, unless it's a situation where, like somebody's in on the stream and then it's like, okay, I could just have a normal conversation and stuff. But all throughout my 20s, bro, like that's the one thing that I feel like I'm gonna have to work on that, now going into my 30s. But no, because I can think back on when I was doing content creating stuff in my teenage years. I never made mistakes. I take that back. I was making mistakes in my teenage years, but I don't think it was as frequent as it was now. Like now, all throughout my 20s, bro, it was hectic some days. Like, I try to get some stuff done and I'm having to do a take after take after take. And it was funny because I actually got a chance to see what it looks like firsthand when somebody is having to do it, like another take and another take and another. So I'm hanging out with my friend the other day. We were at this, it's this abandoned, facility, not facility, but it was a campus, but it was like for some business. I don't know what the business really was, but I always would see this building and stuff anytime when I was in town. Or in this particular town. So anyways, it was funny because my friend, she wanted me to record her and then wanted me to hold up the script. And so I was thinking along the lines like, fam, you could just read it from your phone and just look down and occasionally, kind of like how news reporters be doing it and stuff. But no, yeah, she wanted me to hold the phone and then hold my phone and then read the script off of that and then go and record with the other one and stuff. And so, but no, she was struggling. Like, she was trying to she kept messing up and things, and I'm like, dang, man, is that what it looks like when I be doing content and stuff like that? That's tough, bro. Like, all I could do is laugh, but man, it's frustrating. Like, there have been days where I've had to give myself a prep talk. I'm like, hey, you guys snap out of it. You guys stop with all that, because I'm saying, like, I'm trying to get through some stuff, and it's like I'm trying to, get some content done. And I'm like, man, you gotta, talking to myself, I'm like, fam, you got to work on that. So, but anyways, yeah, let's just go all throughout my my 20s and stuff. It was funny because I was already thinking about doing this podcast episode, and then my sister was all like, yeah, you should do some video or something talking about your 20s. And then I think I just, because I'm a little slacking behind on the podcast episode, so that's why I was like, nah, let me just do a podcast episode, because I don't know, I just feel like that it's podcast worthy and stuff. So, but anyways, yeah, for those that don't know, I am, well, in less than a couple of hours I will be turning 30. But yeah, I've been in my 20s for, what's so crazy is that my 20s felt a lot longer than, because I really don't remember my childhood that much, at least the first few years and stuff. But then the teenage years don't really, because it's kind of halved and stuff. So it's you're dealing with I guess elementary, middle school, and then teenage is you don't really hit your teenage years until you're 13 and stuff. So yeah, it was it's kind of it's somewhat a little over a half and stuff. But my 20s I felt the distance of my 20s, and I was like, man, sitting down thinking about it. And I still remember my 20th birthday. I still remember because I was working in Seattle at the time, and so it was funny because at the time when I was working at this cafe job, I was the youngest one there. Then as the years went on, there were people younger than me, so I was like, dang man, it was just crazy to kind of just see like the early days of my 20s. It wasn't really anything special with my 20th birthday. At least I don't remember doing anything special for my 20th birthday. I think it was for my 21st birthday. That's when I had my first beer. I was like, I know a lot of people are like, wait a minute, you didn't do no underage drinking? Nah, I was like, beer just wasn't I guess like when you got Red Bulls, Fiji water, I'm trying to think. I don't think I was drinking Core Power protein shakes, but yeah, soda, apple juice, and you got all these drinks that taste good, and then you see the side effects of what beer can do to you, especially if you have a lot. Yeah, I wasn't really a drinker, when I was underage and stuff. But yeah, it's like on top of that too, I have a black mom. I'm not trying to get in trouble and things, So yeah, I was like, it's one of those things. I guess like maybe if we were in a different day and age and that type of stuff, or yeah, in a different country where that type of stuff was allowed, then I'm like, yeah, sure. But me being me in America, and the legal age is 21. Yeah, I had my first beer when I was turning when I turned 21. And it was nasty. No, I will say that it was pretty nasty. And that was the thing, like, I wasn't really familiar with like hard alcohol, like Hennessy, whiskey, vodka, tequila, stuff like that. I didn't really know too much about it, but I seen how easy it was to drink it. It was a lot to me. It was a lot easier to drink beer. Beer, I don't like the taste of beer. I don't know. It tastes like melted down corn. Like if you liquidize corn, that's what beer tastes like, to me at least. I don't know. Everybody's taste buds is a little bit different. Like there's people that I know that they can drink a lot of beer, but me on the other hand, I remember one time, what was so messed up? I remember I recorded a video where I was drinking a Bud Light, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna drink this Bud Light all the way until I finish it and stuff. I don't know whatever happened to that video. Like that's one thing that I will say, that throughout my 20s, I made way too many mistakes when it came down to content creating. Like I didn't save that video. I didn't save the video of the night when I got drunk. Or no, actually because it was the morning. It was the morning after, but the night before I got mad drunk, threw up all over the place. I tried to record a video where I was hungover, and yeah, man, I didn't save that video. I made way too many mistakes with content creating when it came down to my 20s and stuff. But anyways, but yeah, overall though, I was like, no, drinking just seemed too easy, and that's why I was like, nah, man, I quietly retired from the drinking scenes. I think the last time I did have a drink, and I didn't even finish it, I think, was it vodka? I think it was vodka. And I was like, man, like hard alcohol, like that's why they call it hard alcohol, because that is the most like toughest drinks, like hard alcohol. That's like the toughest drinks to put down. Water, soda, like I'd rather drink diet soda than to drink like hard alcohol and beer and stuff like that. At least more, the thing is this, like with diet soda, that's a little bit more drinkable. I might not like the taste, but I'm like, I'd rather drink that than beer and hard alcohol and stuff. Yeah, I'm not really into drinking. And I remember it was I can't remember whose going away party it was, but at my old job there was a going away party. It was for somebody. I can't remember if it was my supervisor at the time or somebody else, like in catering maybe. But anyways, I remember there was this GameWorks. It was this place where it had like an arcade center in there, and then they also had like a area for the adults and stuff to drink and all that. So anyways, I remember getting, because I think it was like one of those like special drinks for the week or something like that. And it was, I think they called it the Robin Williams, or it was had some old weird name. I think it was like called Robin Williams or something like that. But anyways, I had that drink. I remember because it was a mixture. It had like orange juice, Red Bull, some other like, and then of course like alcohol in it and stuff. And I remember I pretty much had finished it. Like the drink, it was almost gone. And I remember my supervisor, and that was just something that just kind of stuck with me, was that she was saying, she was all like, she was asking me if I was okay. And then that was the thing. I was like, I felt fine. At least I thought I did. I'm like, I don't felt like there was anything wrong with me. But yeah, no, I was like, but then when something is wrong with me, I'm like, yeah, bro, alcohol is just, that's not a go-to thing to go to and stuff. I just, like I said, I see how easy it is to get get involved with alcohol, and I'm like, I ain't trying to have that problem, so. But anyways, and then yeah, afterwards, like all like, just kind of like, yeah, 22, 3, 4, 5. Like I really, it wasn't really a whole lot going on, still working in Seattle. Oh, the pandemic. Yeah, I was like, yeah, that was definitely, I had to say that was probably the craziest time for many reasons, personal reasons, and then just what was going on in the world. I ain't never been a part of a pandemic before. So being a part of a pandemic, and that's the thing. I guess like for somebody that might listen to this sometime, I guess like I never really thought about that. People may listen to my podcast episodes years from now, and it might be somebody where it's like they want to hear other people's perspectives on what the pandemic was and all of that. If I could just tell you guys like my headspace during the pandemic. So I was going through some personal issues. Yeah, I wasn't really in my right mind at that time, but having it where you go from serving 500 plus customers to on your final day of working at your job, you serve like maybe 3 to 5 customers. Yeah, something was definitely going on. I noticed the lack of people outside. I noticed the lack of people at work. I noticed just overall like stuff was changing. I'm like, nah, man, this ain't normal. So I'm at home chilling. I remember getting a call from the district manager. I don't even remember how he got my phone number, but I think that's what it was. He called. And he probably, like had it on a database or something like that. But I remember he called, he left a message. I think I called him back. And then that's when he told me that the account, our, like business, or I think it was the floor, it was sold, and I don't even know what they're doing with the floor. I don't even think they're doing anything. I think it was like another business, that was a part of that building that had bought that floor. But, yeah, overall though, I was pretty much out of a job, so I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that time, but at the, like, I guess, like, when it came down to like 9 to 5 jobs, but I was focused on content creating. And that's how I looked at it. Cause I'm like, okay, so the first week I remember when they like the COVID really kind of started, going crazy and stuff. I remember that first week they said that, so it was me, it was the supervisor at the time, and then it was a cashier, and we were just all kind of trying to figure out like, okay, what are we going to do like, throughout the week, like who's going to show up and all that stuff. So I think it was for me, it was like, okay, I only showed up that one day, and then after that I get the rest of the week off. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to make the best of it and stuff. And then yeah, I was started going through some personal matters and stuff, and then yeah, wasn't really focused on content creating and stuff. Because then I remember that second week, then it was pretty much the same situation. So actually, I was supposed to show up, I think, for 2 days, but because of COVID like getting serious and stuff, I only had showed up for that one day. But I remember that one day I was depressed. I ain't gonna lie, like I was trying to like beat around the bush and not saying this stuff. I was depressed. It was one of those things where I was like, I have to say, throughout my 20s, I definitely dealt with a lot of depression, and it's one of those things. I know a lot of people, they'll be all like, oh, there's people to talk to, places to go to, all that other stuff. When you feel like there ain't nowhere to go to, you kind of just you figure out ways of dealing with it yourself, and it's messed up that you have to deal with it that way and things. But I guess my thing is this, because like just even kind of right now, like, dealing with it a little bit, I started thinking along the lines, and I'm like, I don't like being that person. I guess like I don't like being aggressive. I don't like being, rageful and angry, and, I guess like letting too much of my emotions out. But at the same time, I'm like, I feel like that's what I need to start doing, because I'm like, I ain't trying to like experience what I experienced throughout my 20s and my 30s and stuff. I'm like, nah, man, when you kind of, it's like, the thing is this, when you get up there in age, and then just like me thinking that like I'm about to be 30, like in like, less than 2 hours, like I'm about to be 30. I can't go through that stuff no more. I can't be dealing with that no more. So yeah, man, I will say this much, heartbreaks, not good, bruh. Not good at all. It's one of those things, but I'm like, hey, you know what? One thing that I will say, cut people off. Like, that's one thing that I did not mind doing throughout my 20s, was cutting people off. I had to cut off a lot of different people, let a lot of different friendships go. I'm like, hey, it's one of those things where I'm like, I wish you well in life. I just can't be a part of it, you know. And I know there's going to be people out there, they're like, oh, that's not a healthy way to live. It's also not healthy to keep people that just really, I don't know, maybe I should, like, might be a little bit, like, it sounds a little bit mean saying this, but when a person just ain't got no involvement, like they ain't got no purpose in your life, why keep them? Why keep them involved in your life? So I know that, like, there might be some people that know me and they know that I cut them off. And if they hear this podcast episode, they gonna feel a certain way. You just gotta understand it from my perspective. You know, like, I feel like that's one thing where I'm like, people, listen to others when they are talking. I throughout my 20s, having to, cause I had to say, like, you know, yeah, with personal matters, content creating, people do not listen. And I feel like I'm speaking clear English. I'm not, like, I guess, like, fumbling or stumbling and messing up on my words and sentences and all that. I feel like that even just me right now talking, I understand what I am saying. Why is it that when I, like, just so you know what? Let's just use content creating as an example. You know, so when I'm getting into it with somebody and they got their mind made up and I'm like, okay, I have a, you know, a remedy for this made up mind, this fantasy that you got going on right now. I have a little bit of a remedy. I'll say some of the most smartest stuff that most people, it's like, yeah, you know, it's just called common sense. But I feel like I said some smart things where if, let's just say, like, a person got a problem with my content, I'm like, okay, then stop coming back to my channel. I mean, like, at the end of the day, there ain't even no reason for you to be coming back to my channel. If you don't like the content, why is it that people, they still want to, like, argue about it? And it's like, fam, it's not up for an argument. It's not up for a discussion. The name, TMossBoss, my face, the videos that whatever videos I'm doing, that's going to be the content that's going to get uploaded to the channel. So that's one thing about it. Throughout my 30s, I'm definitely going to let people know that when it comes down to my content, if I feel that there needs to be something that needs changing and all of that, I'll do that. I've been doing content creation way too long in my life to where it's like, oh, I need advice from pedophiles and who else then tried to, you know, and racist people, and yeah, then people that are pedophiles and racist. I'm like, yeah, you know, it's like, it's one of those things, you know, then to talk on that, the drama, because I know a lot of people are probably like, how was that? You know, how was it dealing with the drama throughout your 20s? Honestly, I wish it never had happened. You know, like, it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, just going into my 30s, because I was thinking that, and I'm like, I'm not trying to, you know, go into my 30s still talking about the drama and all that stuff. But that's one thing that I've always have said. I'm like, okay, I'm done. Then I find myself going back. Excuse me. I don't know why I do that. Excuse me again. I don't know why I do that. I don't know why it's like, I'll say that I'm done with the drama, then I get myself involved. And I know some people like to think that, oh, it's probably because of the views. You probably get like a lot of views. No, I don't. I don't get no views off of talking about drama and haters and all that stuff. Like, when I do videos talking about Just a Robot, for an example, nobody be watching those videos. It ain't like that. People already know the situation between me and Just a Robot. So at the end of the day, I guess, what new information? Because I feel like at times, like, I do be providing some new information. I do try to keep the videos different. But at the same time, people know that we have problems. We have some drama going on. So they already know how I'm going to feel. They already know how he's going to feel. I guess, like, unless something different happens in the drama, then, yeah, you know, it's just gonna be the same old, and I just think that, yeah, you know, people don't care about that. And it's like, to even just talk on content creation, like, I had to say that's probably the biggest thing that's been, you know, focused on throughout my 20s and stuff. But having it where, and because it was funny the other day, somebody was trying to say that Just a Robot made me relevant, and I'm like, see, this is how I know that you guys just want to you're purposely turning a blind eye to my content creating career. Because if you look at my most viewed videos, both the full length videos, the regular YouTube videos, and the shorts, not one single Just a Robot video is mentioned. Top 10, top 20, top 100, not one single video is mentioned of talking anything about Just a Robot. So that's why it always tripped me out when his fans, like, they stood so strongly behind him. And I'm like, what do you guys see in this guy? Like that's what I would like to know. Like on some real stuff, what do you see in just a robot? Because all I see is somebody faking this whole, oh, I'm autistic. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, it's like the autism is growing so strong. Like I don't know what to do with myself. Oh, I need to drink me a glass of water. I need to, and it's just, to me, when I hear stuff like that, like I will say that when it comes down to drama, it definitely ruined the whole, like, somebody, because I guess, like, if me and a person, if we're just having a casual conversation, they tell me about how they have some form of autism, I'll believe them. But if I'm getting into it with somebody and they're all like, oh, you're saying this to somebody that's autistic, am I supposed to care? Like that, and I had to say, like, throughout the years, like throughout my 20s, my don't careness has gotten a lot stronger, because people, they will try to come at me with that type of stuff, and I'm like, ask me if I care. Like, please let that be the next comment that you write down. Ask me if I care that you got autism, or if you got some stuff going on, whatever. Fam, I'm gonna say this as clearly as I possibly can. I, TMossBoss, do not care at all about whatever it is that you got going on. Because my thing is this, right? You shouldn't have put yourself in a situation where you're getting into it with people that don't have autism. So I'm like, maybe you might want to, like, stick to, the people that you relate to, and then leave people like myself up to others, that don't have autism and stuff. But yeah, it's like, it's kind of dumb when you get into it with these quote unquote autistic people and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, you guys are definitely autistic. It ain't that level of autism that, that we seen in school and all that stuff. No, you guys are just stupid, like idiots, dumb, like something, like the R word almost came out, but I'm like, yeah, I know that it might be a little bit offensive and stuff, so I'm like, I'm gonna save that, I guess, for a rainy day and things. But anyways, but yeah, with the drama, like I said, I just going into my 30s, I am going to, like, I guess, like, when it does come down to, and I think that's what it is that when I feel like there ain't no videos to record, then I'll find myself talking about drama. And that's why I'm like, nah, I have to go through my journals. I have to go through my notepad app on my phone. I think I got some video ideas written down on my computer. I need to look through that stuff. And I think that's what, like, the biggest thing that I need to do when it comes down to content creating is be more out there, be more adventurous, I guess, like, explore more different ways of how I can be a better content creator and stuff. Because, yeah, I just felt like that I was the content creator that I wanted to be, but I felt like I could have been more. I could have been better. So I think that, yeah, going into my 30s, that's what I need to do, but anyways, yeah, man, my 20s, there's a lot that was going on, dealing with depression, dealing with COVID. I was like, and that, I mean, actually dealing with COVID, like getting COVID and stuff. And yeah, to just talk on that real quick, man, COVID is one of those things where, oh, I'm wearing a mask, I should be okay. And it's like, then you just let your guard down for a tiny second. You let it down for a tiny second. Next thing you know, you're like me, up in the middle of the night, getting crazy chills, and then your body temperature skyrocketing, feeling like you're about 10 seconds, like you're about 10 stops away from the sun. Like, it's one of those things, you pull up the GPS map, they're like, you're 10 stops away from the sun. Fam, I'm telling you, that first time I got COVID, I was all over the place that night. I couldn't sleep. I didn't sleep at all that night. I stayed up the whole night. I watched that one Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson movie, Shanghai Noon. And then, and it's crazy, that was the last time I sat down and watched that movie. I might have to. I wonder if that movie is, like, available on any streaming services and stuff. Because I'm like, that was one of those movies where I'm like, nah, bro, I liked it. I thought it was a decent movie. Dang, it's not available on no streaming services. That's messed up, bro. That is messed up. Dang. I don't know why. It's like, that's one thing where I'm like, I do not like, is how, like, now going into, 30s, and then you just seeing how much, like, technology and things done change. I'm like, man, I don't like it. I don't like the idea of, like, it's just, stuff that, like, things change way too much throughout my 20s. I'm like, man, just seeing the rise and fall of things, seeing like people getting hated on, I guess, like, yeah, talking technology wise and stuff. Like, it was, man, it was just, yeah, my 20s, it was all over the place. But yeah, like, talking about COVID and all that stuff, because I was talking about that and things. But yeah, I was like, that first time getting COVID, I was like, man, I don't ever want to go through this again. I'm gonna definitely play it safe. I'm like, what could possibly go wrong? I think it was 2 years later, because that happened in 2021, and I think in 2023 that's when I had got it again. And I'm like, bro, I'm telling you, I cannot get COVID no more. Like, so it was funny because today I was out celebrating my birthday early and stuff, because today, so I'm recording this on August 9th, and my birthday is on August 10th. So, but anyways, no, they had it set up where, cause I was going, doing this like go-karting, thing. And, that was fun. I will say that go-karting, it's one of those things where I'm like, I just wish that the track was bigger. If the track was bigger, oh yeah, I'm telling you right now, like, if they had it where it was like a decent size, like, multi-mile, well, maybe not multi-mile, like maybe a mile, maybe a little over a mile, like 1.5 miles and stuff. Oh yeah, I think I would have, I probably would have won today's go-kart race. I was racing with my family. I did come in second, I will say that much and things. But yeah, I'm like, I should have been first, I'm like, man, it was messed up, but it was fun though. Go-karting, I was like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I might, with that day when I do get rich, I might have to buy me a go-kart, just to have one and stuff, just to be driving around and doing a bunch of different random stuff and anything. But anyways, no, I was wearing a mask. I was like, any and everywhere I go, I know people are like, bro, COVID, it's almost been like 10 years. Like, it's crazy to think, like 4 years. I'm like, it will mark that 10-year mark, and I'm still gonna probably be wearing a mask any and everywhere I go. Because I'm like, nah, man, when you get COVID twice, it really, at least for me, it really changes how you move outside and stuff. And I'm like, I don't ever want to go through that again, because the second time around, I remember I was talking with my parents. I think I had asked my mom if she had like a COVID testing. I knew I had COVID because I was like, yeah, just the way that I'm feeling, I'm feeling exactly how I felt when I had it the first time around. So anyways, took the test. But no, it was crazy because I remember I was standing there. I was keeping my distance, of course, making sure I didn't get my parents sick or anything. But anyways, I remember I almost passed out. Like I was feeling like lightheaded and stuff. And yeah, usually when I start feeling that way and things, I'm like, okay, something's not right. Something is not right with this picture and stuff. Like, yeah, I remember I went to the bathroom. Like, I didn't even take the test right away. I had to like kind of just sit alongside the my bathtub, because I was like, this ain't normal, bruh. I'm like, this is not normal. So yeah, I was like dealing with that twice. I'm like, man, I just no more. Like, no more sicknesses, bro. I ain't trying to deal with that, But I will say that my 20s, it taught me a lot. I learned a lot. I've been through a lot. And I feel like now going into my 30s, like, I'm definitely going to be, I'll be strategic regardless of whatever my age is. But I feel like that I learned a lot throughout my 20s. Now I have to, I guess, like, make an example of the things that I learned, throughout my 20s and my 30s and stuff. But it has been a fun, journey, exploring my 20s and stuff, going above and beyond with my 20s. I expect to, do a lot of different things in my 30s. Shout out to all the different friends that I made throughout my 20s and stuff. Like, now I have to say, like, content creation, I made a lot of different friends from Twitch streaming, TikTok, YouTube. I don't really be making a whole lot for TikTok and Twitch. I have to say I made a lot of friends off of there and stuff, so yeah, man, I'm like, it's been a fun ride, and to all my friends that are in their 20s, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna miss you guys. I'm gonna save you a seat in the 30s and stuff, but yeah, I know that there's a lot that I'm gonna have to be, learning and doing and thinking about and all that stuff in my 30s. So, but anyways, with that being said, I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow and subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service. Yeah, I don't know why I felt like I was doing it wrong. But anyways, thank you guys for exploring my 20s with me. Yeah, and that was another, because I'm like, I created my podcast in my 20s too. So yeah, thank you for any and everybody that's been following me through my podcast, TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, any other social media platforms and stuff, Instagram, then just seeing great heights. Like, I feel like I forgot to mention that. I'm like, seeing the distance that I went with YouTube, having it with, and Instagram and TikTok, having it where I ain't got thousands of followers and subscribers off of. Yeah, bro, I'm like, it's one of those things. I'm like, now I feel like in my 30s, I gotta aim for the millions, so yes, we definitely will be setting that as the goal for my 30s and stuff. That's like the high end goal and things. I'm like, I gotta get millions of followers and subscribers, bruh. So yeah, expect a lot of different content out of me. I already did set a goal for myself, uploading 10 videos across all 50 of my channels. And there's some channels where I'm like, I'd set that goal, and I'm like, yeah, some other channels I'm like, I have to work a little bit more on it and stuff. So, but anyways, thank you guys. Stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, viewing this on YouTube. Follow, subscribe, viewing this on the podcast streaming service. And peace.